Alright, ladies and gents, boys and girls, welcome back. It's me, Addy, again, and I hope you guys are doing alright. So, I'm finally here, sitting down, as promised, about to react to the full hour-length presentation at PAX East of Final Fantasy 16 by Yoshi-P. And I know this happened like pretty much, what, 2 weeks ago now, so it's no secret that I'm sort of late to the party. Truth is, shortly after my 27-minute reaction to the gameplay that they showed off there a couple weeks ago, these past 2 weeks ended up being sort of crazy. I was swamped with a bunch of editing I had to do for my other videos, and I had a lot of stuff going on in my life off YouTube and off Twitch. So unfortunately, I didn't get a chance to sit down sooner and check this thing out, which I've been itching to do. But now that's finally about to happen. We are now here finally with the full hour-length presentation of Final Fantasy 16 during its panel at PAX East by Yoshi-P. And I just gotta say, after seeing the 27 minutes of gameplay that were shown off here during this event that we just checked out the condensed version of this that someone posted on YouTube. I was blown away, and now I just need more details. I need more information. And you guys in my reaction video to the 27 minutes of gameplay shown off here were also really excited for me to check out the full thing. So here we go. We're here now. Let's get this started. Yes, you can pet the Torgal. That's the thing that blew me away the most. We can pet Torgal in the game. Yes, you can pet the dog. Here we go.
Good afternoon, PAX
the full
East.
panel.
Is everyone ready?
I'm ready.
Started, so
even though you guys were ready like a couple weeks ago. All right, here we go. The man himself, Yoshi-P. And like I said, I think in my last reaction video, I've not seen a whole lot of this guy. I'm aware of all the cool stuff he's done for Final Fantasy 14.
Yeah, it's okay.
But
16, X, V, I.
that last reaction I did was my first time actually seeing him the most in anything he's ever presented. And I love this dude. He seems so awesome and so connected to the community.
PAX 2023.
それからですね、世界中の、ゲームファンの皆さん、ライブストリーム見てくれてると思います。ライブストリームも皆さんありがとうございます。
All right, and thank you everyone watching from around the world on our live stream.
I may not be live, but better late than never. Am I right? I love his shirt.
Today's panel, yes, you can pet the Torgal. It's going to be all about Final Fantasy 16.
Yes, sir. Again, I love how there's like a little Torgal plush there. I might just need to get that for my shelf, man, at some point. I hope they go on. I hope they're sold eventually on the Square Enix store. Or maybe they already are.
All right, today's panel, we're going to cover 3 main topics. The first off, we're going to meet the development team for Final Fantasy 16.
True.
それから、ファイナルファンタジー16とは改めてどういったゲームなのか、プレゼンテーションしながら世界初公開のちょっと動画、トレーラーではないですけど動画も使いながら、ご紹介していきたいと思います。
All right, and then next up we're going to talk about a little bit about Final Fantasy 16, the game itself. For some of you, it's going to be just like a recap, but we've got a lot of new content, never before seen videos that we're going to be showing you as well.
Very cool. Yeah, I believe there was more footage that I did not check out from this entire panel. I kind of got like a condensed version of it, but that was like the meat of it. I believe they showed more snippets here and there.
All right, and so for our third section, we're going to be talking a little bit about the media tour that we had in the end of February last year and some of the questions that arose during that tour.
その中でもちろんたくさんのポジティブなフィードバックいただいたんですが、それでもちょっとこういうとこどうなってるのっていう疑問いくつか出てましたので、プレイヤーの皆さん、それからゲーマーの皆さん、ファンの皆さんの疑問点を今日解消するためにフォローアップをさせてもらいます。
And after that media tour was over, we got a lot of positive feedback about the game, but there are still a lot of questions that people had. So we want to spend some time at the end of our panel today to answer some of those questions.
Yeah, I remember the thing he did before this that was kind of huge was the hands-on preview stuff that we checked out back in February, I believe it was. Yeah.
Just for looks, we're actually going to be using this PS5 today and showing you some actual in-game footage.
Like it was like, it's not for looks. The game is real. It's in the system. Yeah, man, FF16 from everything I've looked at so far looks incredible. Again, it's the first mainline FF game I've been excited for in a very long time. I I love the concept of the story, the world, right? All of it.
Okay.
ではぜひ皆さん最後までリラックスしてご覧いただけると嬉しいです。
All right, so everybody relax and let's start the show.
I am indeed sitting back, relaxed, finally have some time to check this out.
He looks like some Bond villain.
I can pet the tall guy.
You can pet the turtle.
Such a wholesome guy, man. I love his personality. He seems like just any other fan, right? I always love it when developers seem like just any other fan, if that makes sense. Just another player of their own games in the community.
それからドラゴンクエストビルダーズなど数は少ないですが、こだわったゲーム開発してきました。
All right, so as most of you know, development on Final Fantasy 16 was handled by Creative Business Unit 3. Our team's past titles include the MMORPGs Final Fantasy 11, Final Fantasy 14, as well as the Dragon Quest Builders series. Again, what we lack in quantity, we hope to make up for in quality.
はい、そんな中で
Right, Creative Business Unit 3.
ちょっと並べてみました。
As for our core Final Fantasy 16 dev team members,
Very cool.
一生懸命綺麗に並べてくれたんですけど、ただ顔色の悪いおじさんが並んでる絵になりました。
I mean, we had our promotional team do the best to make us all look stylish and handsome.
Dude,
there's
this
really
guy.
only so much you can do with Photoshop.
Very cool, man. All the legends working on this thing.
We're really this gray and lifeless.
Cerberus is on there too. I love it.
Yeah, under your eyes.
Damn, okay. Awesome. There's Final Fantasy Tactics as well. There's quite the assortment of amazing games there. Well, okay, let's rethink the word amazing for one of them, that being Dirge's Cerberus. But regardless, we still love you, Dirge. We love all of
We
you.
don't have a lot of younger people on the team. We do. It's just that leading up the team are these old guys. So.
はい、もうこれぐらいにしておき
All
ま
right,
しょう。
that's enough of the introductions about the team. Let's move on.
はい、で改めてファイナルファンタジー16ちょっと紹介させていただきます。
All right, so next we're going to talk a little bit about the game itself.
All right, here we
ファイナル
go.
ファンタジー16皆さんもちろんご存知の通りだとは思うんですけど、35
There's some
年の
very cool looking,
長寿フランチャイズであるファイナルファンタ
artwork
ジーシリー
there.
ズの最新作、そして16作目のナンバータイトルがこの16になります。
So again, what is Final Fantasy 16? Well, Final Fantasy 16 is the newest numbered title in the Final Fantasy series, a storied franchise with over 35 years of history.
Yes, sir.
最近若いジェネレーションの
Very long-running legendary
わ
franchise.
かんない、遊んだことないんだよねという方、まあ16作目なのでどうしてもこう1から遊ばなきゃいけないのかなというふうに思う人もいるかもしれないんですが、ファイナルファンタジーシリーズ必ず独立した物語、世界観、キャラクターを持っているので、安心して初めて遊んでいただくファイナルファンタジーにこの16、チョイスしてもらえるので、ぜひですね、今まで遊んだことのないという人はこの16ぜひ注目していただきたいです。
All right, and so what is it that makes this Final Fantasy series unique? Is that, however, despite the fact that the titles are numbered, each one is independent from the others. It features its own story, its own characters, its own systems, and its own feel. And Final Fantasy 16 is no different in that sense. And so it should be just as accessible to a newcomer to the franchise as it is to a longtime fan. Players will not need
Yeah, they share
to
so
play
much.
any of the games before this to fully enjoy Final Fantasy 16.
Of course, they're all standalone. They have many commonalities, like a party of characters. They got to go save the world, right? Also, put aside their little differences at the start sometimes, and build up
So one thing that we've
incredible and
talked about
indelible
repeatedly
dynamics over
is
time, and
how we
then
built this game on 4
again
pillars.
save the world.
その一つ目、まずはストーリーです。
So first and foremost of those pillars is story.
今回ファイナルファンタジー16では
Yeah, I love how personal the story of this game seems, right? It's a story of revenge. But the characters in this world and the world itself seem so interesting for that very simple premise to take place in. I have a feeling we're really gonna be able to connect to this protagonist, to his Clive. Now we get some more details
So
here.
with Final Fantasy 16, it's always been our aim to bring back the series to its high fantasy roots.
Right, exactly.
Exploring
It's
its
high fantasy again.
complex themes such as justice and values, while weaving a deep and
There you go.
sweeping narrative complete with politics, conflict, and intrigue. We wanted to create something that would not only resonate with a younger generation of players just stepping out on their own,
It's a very
but
rich
also with
world.
older players like me. I'm going to be 50 years old this year, and we already know how harsh the real world can be.
That is so awesome that they're trying to simultaneously attract newcomers and also appeal to fans who have been around for a long time.
And our second pillar
That's one of my
is
favorite
our
things about games that are done right. You know, like really good games. And remakes also that are very good, like the RE4 remake that came out recently. It did a very good job of, you know, trying to keep the charm that appealed to its original fans, and you know, trying to add in these little modernizations to attract new people.
All right, while our main focus of Final Fantasy XVI is, and the narrative is fixed upon Clive Rosfield as he seeks vengeance
Yes,
for the
sir.
loss of his
That's such a
nation
cool name,
and
man.
his
Clive
family,
Rosfield.
Our game features a vast ensemble cast of
Love the
compelling
names of the characters so far.
each unique in their own backgrounds and motivations. And their stories, players will watch unfold around Clive's in this veritable clash of wills.
And again, speaking of the names, I love how they brought back a character named Sid. That's such an underrated tradition in the Final Fantasy games. I'm so glad it's back. My favorite Sid out of all the games so far has to be
And of course, we cannot forget
Thunder
graphics.
God
Our
Sid
team
from
has worked
Tactics.
very hard
Please
to
make a
create this
remake.
Unparalleled
Sorry, I'll
visual
calm down.
experience that's only possible with the power of the PlayStation 5.
Technology.
I'm Square Enix. Not Sony.
Not Sony?
Not Sony.
Oh, it's okay.
Bruh.
We love you, Sony. The power of the PlayStation 5.
そして4つ目、
That's
バトル
awesome.
システムになります。
And finally, and possibly most importantly, is our battle system.
今回は
Yes,
特
and
に
I
ですね
remember we
シリーズ
saw
初の
so much
チャレンジとして
gameplay
リア
last
ルタイム
time,
のアクションバトルという
and
とこ
also
ろ
in
に
the hands-on
こだわって
preview,
作ってき
and
ま
the
した
combat looks amazing, right?
So our dedication has been to
Very
create this
action-heavy,
exciting
very
combat system
real-time.
that, for the first time in the series, introduces full real-time action combat.
There you go.
特にですね今回召喚獣にフィーチャーした召喚
I love how a lot of this is stuff I already know, but they're kind of like adding in little details here and there I might not have been too familiar with, and are kind of like really honing in on like affirming things I know and like, you know, kind of
Players will get to
honing in on
experience
things I don't, you know?
Summon versus summon battles, which put Clive of an icon of his own to carry out battles on a massive scale. The Final Fantasy series has long been described as a cinematic experience, but now we can truly liken this to actually playing a Hollywood action blockbuster.
That's really cool.
飽きるのでこの4つのピラーまとめて
I like that way of describing it, like a big Hollywood action blockbuster. It does seem like a very ambitious game, and I'm pretty sure there's a trailer once that came out too called Ambition.
All right, but talk is cheap, so we've
right?
prepared a short
They're
video
trying to really go
captured
above and
in-game
beyond.
footage showcasing the 4 pillars. Let's start.
Very high fantasy, very
I only
gritty.
stand here today because of Joshua. 13 years I've waited for this chance.
We saw this, I
I
think.
slept in filth, drunk from a gutter, killed more men than I can count.
Okay, so I just skipped ahead a little bit because we already saw this incredibly epic trailer in the last reaction we did.
ありがとうございます Thank you
So you guys can go check that out if you want to see my reaction to that. I was watching a little bit of that, then I remember we seen it. It's pretty damn amazing.
ぜひ最後まで楽しんでいってください
And that is not
Yeah,
the
let's see
only
what they
video
have
we're
to
gonna
say
show
after
you. We
this.
have, many more videos to be shown today, so please look forward to them as well.
今見ていただいたよう
Yeah,
な
I believe there are a lot more snippets of things we haven't seen yet within this full hour-long thing, which I'm really excited for, even though they might not be as long as the chunks from here that we did react to and check out.
And everything you saw here, this is not pre-rendered. This is all running. in
Nevertheless,
real time
though, it's
in
always
engine.
exciting to see
It is a
all of it,
variable
right?
roller
Especially when you're really already excited for
では
something
続い
like
てちょっと
this.
世界観触れていきたいと思います
Right, I
Right,
keep
next,
forgetting the
I'd like
name of
to
the
talk a
word,
little bit about the
Volistia,
world.
or word,
今回
world.
16の物語の舞台バリスゼアと言います5つ
Very
の
cool
国
name
家
for a
と
world,
5つの
man.
自治領で構成されてます
All right, so the realm of Valisthea is made from 5 different nations and 1 neutral city-state.
Cool.
この
I don't think I knew
バリ
that.
スゼアには巨大なマザークリスタルと呼ばれる存在がいくつか点在していますこれは、現実の世界でいう油田のようなものだ
I
と
love all the
覚えておい
various
てください
sigils, man. They're so
across the
pretty.
realm can be found the mother crystals, these towering well springs of life and magic
Wow.
around which civilization thrives. One might think of these as oil fields.
そのマザークリスタルから溢れ出るエーテル、まあこれが石油のようなものですね。人々はそのエーテルを使って暮らしていたんですが、
pretty common,
いよいよそのマザークリスタルから
pretty common device in the Final Fantasy games, right? Not all of them, but they're there. My favorite one is Final Fantasy 9.
These mother crystals are where the realm gains its energy that powers their everyday lives. The ether, which can be compared to oil. And so
okay, so it's kind of like Mako from FF7. I said FF9 is a hater one. I meant that, like, in terms of the ones that have like crystals in them. FF7 didn't have crystals, but it had a similar concept with the Mako. That's my favorite one in the series, and pretty much favorite game of all time.
Into the current age of war and strife.
では続いて動画もう一本いきましょう。
So they derive power from the crystals. That's cool.
We have another video that's going to showcase our areas.
ここではですね、この冒険の舞台、バリス
Some really cool screenshots. I like that little area at the bottom right, man. That little tropical themed area, and I think you saw a bit of it in one of the trailers.
Some of the areas that are available for exploration in Final Fantasy 16 with this short walkthrough video. Let's begin.
Okay, is this something we haven't seen before? Is it something we have? Okay, I think we've seen this one. Yeah, some really beautiful stuff being showcased off here. And this is the trailer in which we saw that little tropical place. I skipped ahead a little bit, right? Because we've seen this before. I really want to focus on the things we didn't see in the 27 minutes that were condensed in that one video out of this whole hour-long thing. But so yeah, man, again, the areas look beautiful from what we've seen so far. I love the diversity, right, in biomes. And one thing I did mention, guys, that I have to apologize for is in my first, or not first, but... Oh, wait, was that an issue with my audio or the streams? Oh, God. Okay, it was an issue with their videos on my setup. I got freaked out there. But what was that noise? Okay, but yeah, one thing I'm just gonna pause here real quick. But one thing I did mention in my last reaction video to the 27 minutes was the fact that, or just multiple times throughout, I mentioned that it was open world. I got that part wrong. I apologize. You guys were amazing and correct me in the comments. It is open zoned, not open world. So yeah, mistake there. I was erroneous on that, but here we go. I'm still really excited for the fact that this game is open zoned, because I think that open world games, while I do enjoy them, they have the potential to not really be as, you know, explorable, if you will. Like, they have a lot of open dead areas where not a whole lot of things are going on, and there's just a lot of places where the game kind of drags and doesn't offer too much that's interesting to you in terms of the world, right, where things are. There might be just like large open barren areas, but in open zone games, from what I've seen and experienced, I like the fact that everything seems to have a purpose. When they're kind of working with a smaller scope, they tend to make as much of what they have there more meaningful. So yeah, I'm actually still really excited for the fact that this is an open zoned game. Yeah, so I just wanted to address that little thing there from my last reaction video to the FF16 stuff.
And again, what we just showed you is these are not cutscenes. These are all areas that Clive will be able to go to and explore and have battles.
ぜひですね、この16の世界、バリスゼアの、世界を冒険するのを楽しみにお待ちください。
And again, we hope you have fun exploring the world and hope you look forward to it.
Hell yeah.
続いてセクションとして進むのが、キャラクター、特にファイナルファンタジー16の世界で非常にユニーク
And the characters we've seen so far, all the summons, which are called the icons, right? They all look superb.
All right, next we'd like to shift focus.
I'm a very big fan of the character designs and creature designs we've seen so far.
And the keepers of the icons that play such a central role in our narrative.
And like the concept in the narrative of the icons slash summons being tethered to the characters we've seen is so damn cool.
全長120メートルのような巨大なものまで様々に登場してきます。
But what are the icons? The icon is the Final Fantasy 16 name for what fans of the series will know as the summons.
Exactly.
These mythical, giant, magical beasts.
And again, I love how, like, in Final Fantasy 9, the summoner, Ico, it kind of sounds like icons, right? I'm not sure, like, does icon mean something for that reason? That's related to, like, summons? I wonder.
人でありながら召喚獣へと変身していく、そんなキャラクターのことをドミナントと呼んでいます。
But unlike other Final Fantasies, Final Fantasy 16's icons are not summoned, but it is the dominants who literally become the icons themselves.
このドミナントたち、
Yeah, that's so
国によ
cool,
っては、
right?
非常に敬われ
The
ている
summons aren't actually
場合もあります
summons,
が、
which is why they're not called summons, I guess, in FF16. You are the summons. You summon yourself as a summon, as a summon. Oh, okay, I'm getting
But
carried away.
icons are not just about battle. In Final Fantasy XVI, we deeply explore the backgrounds of each one, and we find that their fates vary greatly based on where they reside. Some are revered as heroes, while others are forced to fight and are treated as slaves.
Very interesting. I love the whole power dynamic and all those like dark and, you know, dour themes in the game. Very gritty game.
Again, one of our central points
And
of
like they
our
were talking about
narrative
before,
is
there's so
going
much
to be
political
learning
intrigue and
what
stuff
drives
too.
these dominants. What are their aspirations and what are their desires? Why are they fighting and what are they fighting for?
My favorite aspect of all this, by the way, is how Ifrit, which is normally kind of like one of the first summons you encounter in most of the Final Fantasy games, and usually is like treated as like an underdog in this, right? And he is kind of the main summon. You are Ifrit in this as Clive. And it's kind of like small potatoes going up against really big imposing summons that we know as well, like other really iconic ones.
16 follows Clive Rosfield through 3 important stages of his life, as you can see here from the left.
The first summon you normally get is when you play as, which is awesome. And then, yeah, there you go. So Clive grows older over time throughout the game. So that's awesome how they're covering different eras of the story throughout the game, which is, yeah, it's always something I love to see in games. Relatively long passage of
By
time.
experiencing firsthand these events that shape and mold Clive, we can better understand, the player can better understand what it is that motivates him and why he eventually becomes the person that he does.
物語の序盤、このクライブは
Right, he's out for revenge for the death of his brother Joshua, I remember, who's the Phoenix dominant, right? So cool. And he's got the best boy with him, Torgal.
Our story starts
Let's go.
with Clive obsessed in his pursuit of revenge for the loss of his brother. But across his journey, that will slowly change through chance encounters that ultimately open his eyes to a whole different world.
I love it, right? And it's a natural progression of the character in a revenge-driven plot, right? Where they start with a bloodlust, but then over time they kind of like start to see the bigger picture and they let go of that anger. And I'd imagine that like, yeah, Torgal.
In addition to being soft and lovable and such a good
I'd imagine that knowing the central motif of like a lot of Final Fantasy games, which is to go out and save the world, like this game is going to be no different at the end, right? Eventually, like they'll notice, or Clive will notice the bigger picture and band together with his party of characters and then face off against the bigger threat, right? You kind of start with a smaller scope from to the main character's perspective. I can't speak, sorry. And then over time, their drive and what they seek to do changes, right? They look at the bigger picture. It's like that's how character development normally works in these games, which is what I like a lot. Okay, so here are the abilities. So, right, we saw all the wrestling match type stuff that they have going on with these summons, which is amazing.
Combat can be split up into two different types. The first being player versus enemy battles, in which Clive himself fights against creatures using a customizable combination of unique and powerful iconic abilities acquired from the different icons he meets along his journey.
Yeah, and we see that. It's so cool. Like, he transitions between using the ability, like his own human-based abilities, and then a hybrid of human and summon or iconic, and then he straight up becomes the icon, right? But he can also adopt little elements of other iconic abilities too, which I noticed, which is kind of sick.
Many, many different abilities can be learned and upgraded and customized in a way that's going to match each player's play style.
そしてもう一つ大きなバトルの柱、先ほどから紹介している召喚獣同士が激突する召喚獣合戦になってます。
And our second type of battle are the icon versus icon battles, in which Clive himself becomes an icon to clash with other icons.
You know what the switching of styles reminds me of? It's kind of like Devil May Cry, right? And I believe one of the combat directors of this is working on this game. That's probably why that's a thing, right? Like Clive can switch between different styles of fighting based on the different iconic summons and their abilities.
Unique, massive scale encounters are all created from the ground up to have this unique feel to each of them, that it's not going to be the same every time.
Nice. I'm all for as much novelty and uniqueness as possible in games, right? The more they keep things fresh in the game, the better. That's one thing I've started to like appreciate a lot over the past couple of years when it comes to games.
We have a video that's going to showcase the first type of battle, the one that showcases Clive's iconic abilities. As for the iconic clashes, we have another video for later in the presentation. So
cool, and I think we might have seen that one.
Iconic abilities.
Okay, which one is this? Oh, I think this is new. I don't think we've seen this one before. All right, let's go. Or maybe we have. I can't remember. But, okay, we might have. Yeah, this is sort of ringing a bell, but yeah, this is crazy. Seen a bunch of combat so far, right? He can kind of like... It's so beautiful and fluid and fast-paced. I love it. He can, like, switch on the fly between all these various different elemental iconic abilities and stuff, right? He isn't just bound to the summon he's tethered to, which is Ifrit, right? He can kind of like conjure spells and abilities from the other icons as well without transforming into them, right? It's just sort of being able to become them, which I think is really cool. Yeah, we'll see this again because I kind of like... It's just so fun to see as much of the combat as I can, and it's been a while since I saw this. This is so cool, man. There's so much happening in the combat, right? It just looks really satisfying to play. That's what I think I'm trying to get at. It looks overwhelming, but it doesn't at the same time. It's hard to kind of explain. Normally, like, games that look like these kind of, you know, deter me from playing them because they're just a little bit too much, like, too overwhelming. I feel like Tales of Arise had that problem a little bit, to me personally, right? Other people might have had a great experience with it.
Through our unique system, and so we hope to release more of that information in the...
But with this game, I don't get that impression at all.
ではここからはですね、先月やった1回目のメディアツアーの
I don't feel discouraged watching gameplay. I feel excited.
Okay, and so one might think that what we've shown you might be enough to satisfy the masses, but no, there are still questions, and so we understand it with all the information out there. It can be sometimes be hard to find all the answers. We did our media tour, but there's still a lot of questions, so we want to touch on a few of those today.
ちなみにこのスクリーンショットに出ているキャラクター、結構重要なキャラクターだったりします。
Oh, yeah, the character
You know what I
that
love
see,
is the fact that he's like petting the plush
Matt is
Torkoal.
actually a very, very important character in the game.
そう、バリス勢ロアをね、めちゃくちゃ詳しく語ってくれる、まあコージみたいなキャラクターなので。
This is actually the Valstian lore master, and he knows all about the world. Yoshi-san kind of compared him to me.
Yeah.
Aw, thanks.
そんなロアマスターに今日こんなあたり、答えてもらいます。
And so these
Oh
are the
my god.
that we had
That's funny.
asked of us.
Yeah, and someone in the comments of my last reaction video mentioned that they were going to address the darkness of that very first hands-on preview video we saw. And is there like the question for it?
Again,
It's
so we
funny.
would like to answer all of these burning questions, and we're going to be doing that here today using the
Shove your action on my ATP. Just read that one. That's hilarious.
All right, so let's start with this one, or these two, to be specific.
This is going to be good.
画面暗くないか？マップ狭いよねって。
Yeah, we got a lot of this. Why is it so dark? Why there?
I saw people complaining about that. I honestly didn't have a problem with it.
Slow down, please.
Okay.
Like, because I knew the game was obviously not going to be that dark. It's just like a nighttime environment, right? I think people are just like losing their cool for nothing.
That's right. It's not all dark. In the game, the areas aren't all small.
でまあなんでこうなったかというと、ちょっとメディアツアーにはやっぱり今回ファイナルファンタジー16リアルタイムアクションそのバトルをやっぱりメディアの皆さんに大丈夫ですよ、すごいいいアクションゲーム作りましたよという部分を触ってもらうために、選んだステージがちょっと夜のステージだった。
So there are fields and stages, right? So stages are like within fields, I guess?
Final Fantasy 16 has always been the switch to the full
No,
real-time
they're
action controls.
in addition to
And so
fields,
the media
okay.
tour was set up to be an opportunity
So
to
fields are
showcase
probably like the
our new
large
battle
open
system
zones, and then
controls.
you go to like various
And it just
different... Okay,
turns
so maybe
out
they
that
are in the fields? I don't
area
know.
that we chose
Like
for that
small little
happened to be a
places where
dark
these set
area.
pieces take place?
いやもっと明るいエリアにすればいいじゃない。
And then what's like then why didn't you choose a brighter area?
一番最初に出来上がったステージだったの。
It's because this is the stage that we had completed first and it was the most ready.
I had a feeling. Yeah, I had a feeling that was the reason.
いや僕だって明るいステージでやりた
They
かった
just so happened to have the darkest area in their game as the one that they had completed first, so they were ready to show off. Like, it's not like they wanted to go out of their way to be like, okay, let's just show off the darkest place possible in our game because we don't want people to get excited. Like, no, there's probably a reason for it.
And so if you haven't checked out those interviews yet and the media reports on their impression of the battles, please check those out.
So yeah, the maps are unique to each stage. That's another thing.
じゃあ実際そんなに暗く
Makes
ないよ
sense.
っていうのとマップ結構
So
広
there's
いのも
smaller,
たくさん
more
あるよ
condensed
っていうのを
levels, and the
紹介
fields are the large areas are mainly going to be exploring and getting lost in. In these open zones, like the fields are the zones, basically, from what I'm getting from this.
Larger explorable areas that we call fields. Right here.
Yep, so the explorable areas are probably the
じゃ
fields.
あ行きましょう
All right, let's,
That's cool, man. I
switch
like
the
how
screen to
they're
the PS5.
approaching the level design of this game. And yeah, we saw this brilliant demo here, the 27 minutes of it. Again, if you want to see my full reaction to this, check out my last reaction video to Final Fantasy 16 stuff. It's on the channel. I'm probably going to jump ahead here to see what they have to say after. I forgot that's how he starts, so that's great. Okay, so while skipping through, I noticed a couple places where I stopped and went, oh my god, I kind of forgot that's what they're doing, and I'm so much more excited again now. Like little touches and embellishments, like the save screen, the characters being pixel icons, and the music too in the safe areas. It's so great. But yeah, we skipped ahead here after the
では次のフォローアップいきま
gameplay
しょう
footage.
All right, let's go to the next burning question.
I
And
hate QTE
I hate QTE.
me too, after playing the OG RE4 recently, boys. I hate them.
好き嫌いもちろん
At least those ones that interrupt your wonderful cutscene while you're drinking tea, you know, and you spill all the tea all over your lap and get like third-degree burns, man. It's not
ま
fun.
ずそのファイナルファンタジー
They suck.
16のそのカットシーンこれって QTE なのかと言われると
But there's the question. So, are all of Final Fantasy XIV's battle cutscenes QTE driven?
答えはノーです
And the answer to that is
Cool.
no.
まあ正直
And let me tell you guys, even if they were, man, I wouldn't have a problem because there it's clearly delineated that, like, the QTEs are happening in a sequence where you're still playing, right? They're happening in the middle of a sequence that you're already playing, which is a fight. So I would totally be anticipating
Just as is the
something
case
like
with a lot
that.
of
But
players, neither the director Takai-san or
Let's see what he has to say.
myself really enjoy those QTEs that are overly long or really, really complex.
じゃあ今まで
I'm
そ
fine
の
with
メディア
those.
ツアーで見てきたその動画で
I'll actually pause it here and talk spend a little second talking about this. My issue with QTEs, guys, I think there are two different types of QTEs from what I've personally seen. They're the ones that kind of work in conjunction with the gameplay, right? So you're already playing, you're already fighting an enemy, and then they show up, and then they kind of like add to the experience a little bit, kind of like in God of War 2018 and Ragnarok, right? I think that game had an excellent use of QTEs, right? Because they were happening in moments where you were already fighting an enemy or something, and even in the moments where they weren't happening, which borders into the ones I don't like, even if you didn't press them from what I remember, you wouldn't fail. There wouldn't be like a fail state, and you wouldn't have to like restart a checkpoint. The second kind of QTEs that I don't like are the ones that happen out of the blue. You're not expecting them. You're watching a cutscene. You have no idea if they're going to happen or not. And that was one of the weak points of Resident Evil 4, the original, which I played recently before the remake came out. And I'm so glad the remake got rid of them. Because in the original, there were so many times where I was just, you know, watching a cutscene, enjoying it. And then all of a sudden, you know, Chief Mendez tries to frickin' like choke me out or like throws an object at me out of nowhere and I wasn't expecting it and I have to do something on my controller, right? You just don't know that they're going to happen. So when there's no indication that they're going to happen, it's a problem. So overall, man, after experiencing how bad they were in the OG RE4, in my opinion, I'm fine with them not even being a thing at all. But we're going to see what they have to say about them in more details. Let's see what else they have to say.
And, you know, we all saw the screenshots. We all saw the gameplay footage. There was QTE. Let me explain what that was.
Yeah, I don't remember those. My apologies.
ファイナルファンタジー16のボスバトルっていうのは
So they are
多
kind of there.
数のフェーズがあります
So
Right,
in
of course,
Final Fantasy
phase-based.
16, we have a lot of different boss battles.
Oh,
And in
from the
those boss
screenshot,
battles,
right.
They're split up into multiple phases. During each phase, again, Clive will wail away on a boss until its hit points get to a certain amount. And when the boss's hit points are reduced to that amount, the battle will transition to a new phase.
でこれらを今回16ではローディングなしで作っていってるためこのフェーズの切り替わりのタイミングに大きくバトルステージが壊れたりとか クライムとボスの立ち位置がこう入れ替わったりとか、いろんなシチュエーションが発生するようになってます。
And again, in Final Fantasy 16, this transition is all done seamlessly. And so we'll have these cutscenes that will help us transition, whether it be transformation of the boss, or whether it be
kind of like
the
Final Fantasy
environment,
VII Remake,
something's
right?
happening in the environment, something's breaking down.
There are multiple
or
phases to
Clive
each
needs to
boss
be in a new
fight,
position.
and there's a little like cutscene that plays in between each phase.
ただ皆さんが見てるだけではなくて、
Called
クライムが
phase
かっ
shifts.
こよく動いた時
Kinda
に
cool.
単純に攻撃か回避だけをやってもらうことで臨場感を作るためのものだと思ってくださ
So
い。
yeah, that's
And
cool,
so
man.
in
I'm
these
totally
transition
fine with these
cutscenes, Rather
QTEs.
than just have the player sit back and watch the cutscene and do nothing, to give you all that a dynamic feel.
I'm
Like you're really in
absolutely
the
fine
action,
with this.
We've added this simple
100%.
prompts for attack and evasion.
Yeah, cool.
なので
It's just like God of War, like the newer ones. I haven't played the older God of War games, but the soft rebooted ones from 2018 onwards.
は
Oh.
Oh,
have a
wonderful. And it says they don't result in a game over. There you go. These are like good
It says that
QTEs,
there's
right?
a little bit of lag on the live stream.
Yeah, these QTEs are completely
Is it okay?
fine because
Yeah,
they're not interruptive, right? You're already kind of like in a state of concentration. You're
So yeah,
fighting
we
an
wanna
enemy.
apologize to everyone
You're in a
watching.
combat
We're really
state.
sorry for the lag.
後ほどぜひアーカイブの方をご覧いただけると助かり
And
ま
they're
す。
just
Yes,
more
the
buttons you have to
whole panel will
press
be
while you're
archived.
already
So
pressing
if you're
buttons.
missing
And they're
anything, you'll be
kind
able to
it's had
watch
like
it
an
again.
epic feel too during a little
改
cutscene
め
while
て
everything
すいま
else
せ
is
ん途
happening.
中でなんですが、この
And if you don't fail, you know? So that's the big thing, actually. Like, do you fail if you don't press them? If so, they might not be great.
一切まずありません。
We want to assure you with
Even
is
though
that
you would
while
still have a little bit of a
missing
reason to
QTE
expect them.
will change the outcome of a
But if you
cutscene
don't fail,
transition,
they're
it will never
completely
result
okay.
in a game
Yeah.
over.
That's when QTEs are bad. When you fail if you don't press them and you weren't expecting them.
四角ボタンを押す。それから回避する時の R1 ボタンを押す。それか
If you weren't expecting them, minus 1 point. If you fail them, minus another point. That's minus 2 points. Strike, they suck.
コントローラーからその手を離さずにクライ
You
ム
know,
と
strike is 3
一緒になって
I knew that.
バトルっていうのを楽しんでもらいたいという演出のものだというふうに思ってください。
So also, there are only 3 types of these commands that are ever used. Attack, pressing square, evade, pressing R1, or a clash where you button mash the square. And again,
Their
these are
button
used to
mashing one's
correspond
nice.
to what's actually
Oh my
going on in
god,
the cutscene.
I'm getting
So,
trauma
when
thinking
there's a
of
cutscene,
like
you don't have to put
I'm
your
getting
controller down.
PTSD, man. I think
Keep
of like
onto it,
the button mashing
you know,
from
take up the
Resident
part
Evil 4,
five
the
and really
original.
be a part of the battle.
God damn. I was mashing buttons so hard as my wrist was falling off my hand, and I still wouldn't pass those segments, and it still failed somehow.
And also, with these mini QTEs that we have,
See, here,
in the game,
obviously, they're going to be
again,
nowhere near as bad, and there's like no
the
fail
amount of
state, you
time that
know?
get,
No game
to press
over.
the buttons, actually, you have a lot of time. It's not actually that quick.
なので スロー
Slow time event.
Yeah, there's a circle that gives you the timer,
まあ
right?
でもそれぐらいのものだと思ってあまり気にせずにいていただけると助かります。
Again, it's not something the players are going to need to worry about during the battles. They're very leisurely.
はい。では次のセクション行きましょう。
All right, let's go up to the next burning question.
This is my favorite one. Shove your action. I want my
これは
ATB gauges,
これ
man.
はでも正直気持ちがもちろんわからないわけではないです。
It's going to be
I
interesting.
really, really understand this as a player myself.
なのでまず最初に本当にすいません。
And
ご
so
めん
I'm
な
going to
さい
start。off by I apologize. I'm really sorry.
What an amazing dude.
で僕らはもちろん開発チームもターンベースの RPG は大好きです。それで育ってきてるので我々も。
Again, but just like you, again, we on the dev team, we all love turn-based games. Again, we grew up
Personally,
on
man, this is
turn-based
one of the reasons I'm really excited for 16 is they aren't so the game doesn't seem to be so stubborn, right? It's not holding on to tradition, and it's trying not to get too hung up on the whole trying to stay true to the traditional Final Fantasy experience, like pure turn-based or having ATB or anything like that.
Action games, maybe even a little bit more.
They're really trying to take a bold and ambitious risk here with going full action, you know, full throttle.
Make the next Final Fantasy into something that was going to challenge ourselves, and we wanted
There
to
you
challenge
go.
ourselves with making a
And I really
full-action,
admire that about this game, and it
Final
has me
Fantasy game.
excited.
Something that you know shows the world the potential of the series.
And just like Yoshi said right there, man, I love my turn-based Final Fantasy games. Those are my favorite ones. Hell, like Final Fantasy 7 through 9.
しっかり仕上がってます。
Even though I didn't
Final
finish
Fantasy
8,
16 isn't just for those players who
that is
excel
my
at action
favorite
games.
era
We
of
want
Final
everyone to
Fantasy.
play it. Even that guy right there. In the third row, I think I talked to him earlier. He said, Koji, I'm not good at action games. Like, no, it's for everyone, even you.
Dude, this is so wholesome, man.
俺は何も言ってないからな。
Yeah, that's all me.
ゲーム多分やれるよアクションゲーム。
He can? That guy can? Okay. But not that guy. He told me.
Like I'll tell you guys what I... Well, let me pause here for a second. I'll tell you guys what I kind of didn't really like too much personally about all the Final Fantasy games after the late 90s era of the franchise, right? Is the fact that they kind of seem to go this weird sort of hybrid route of turn-based but real-time action at the same time. And it just didn't click with me. There was something about that didn't click with me. It was like, and I got the impression that they weren't confident with the kind of battle system they wanted to implement for their games. Like, do you want your game to be turn-based? Do you want it to be action? Like, you know, pick a side, right? Pick one path to take for this game. And I understand that a lot of people do like that kind of like hybrid sort of style that the game's opted for in terms of combat. But me personally, just me sitting here right now, my personal taste, I wasn't a fan of that. And it's one of the reasons why Final Fantasy for me didn't really click for a long time. It didn't, I wasn't a big fan of it for a very long time. The newer games weren't for me. But this one here, right, it seems like they're trying to really, like Yoshi-P said, challenge themselves, right? The developers want to challenge themselves with it. And they kind of want to move away from the traditional facets of the Final Fantasy games that we have kind of come to expect over like the past couple decades. So that has me excited, and I like the confidence with which they are now choosing one direction to go. Like they want to completely put all their eggs in this pure action-based, real-time-based experience, you know, and that has me excited. I no longer get the impression from this game that they are confused in their identity about what they want to be, you know? And I really like that. So those are my personal 2 cents on the matter. I don't want to know what you guys think as well in the comments. If anyone checks this out. We're really eager to, excited to see what you guys have to say. Hope that made sense, by the way.
But again, to make the game both accessible and enjoyable to everyone, we developed these in-game equipable items known as the timely accessories
I remember
that make
that.
the game accessible.
Yeah.
We're going to show you how they work.
That is a really cool concept. That's another thing I love about this game, is the fact that there's no traditional difficulty setting in the main menu right before you begin the game.
Yes.
You can literally manipulate the difficulty of the game as you play based on the leg ups that the rings give you in the game, right? With the whole ring system and how they kind of like make various different aspects of the game a lot easier.
Yeah.
I think that's a cool as shit idea for the game that they've implemented here. But yeah, we're gonna jump ahead now. Again, if you guys want to see my reaction to all the stuff they show off here, please do be sure to check out the last reaction video I made. It's in my reaction playlist as well. Alright, we're just gonna play this part again because it was the best part of that last of the gameplay that we've seen here, right? Forget the summons, forget the epic combat, forget the epic world, forget the fact that we're finally getting another mainline FF game after like a few years now. This is the best part. The fact that you can pet the dog. Let's go.
Treats for Torgal.
And give him treats too and shit. Okay, so continue.
では、そろそろ最後のセクション行こうと思います。
Okay, next up, we go on to the next question.
召喚獣バトル、この前公開した
this is gonna be an interesting one.
ガルーダ、まあかなり重要級のバトルでした。
That's a big one for me, like I said earlier, now in
バトル
games.
ちょっとゲームの序盤であることもあって、皆さんに操作に慣れてもらうために、あえて結構簡単な作りにしてあ
How
り
much
ま
new
す。
stuff are you going to be getting
So
while
we
you
had
play
some
the
players
game?
wondering about whether the icon versus icon battles are going to be all the same. At the media tour, we allowed the media to try out the Ifrit versus Garuda battle. And as this
I remember
is one
I
of the
saw
first
that.
icon
Looks
versus
so
icon
cool.
battles that appear in the game, the overall difficulty is fairly low. You can think of it as an icon versus icon tutorial.
Okay.
じゃあイベントバトルなのかというと、やっぱりこれも答えはノーになります。
But again, not all of them are going to be the same.
召喚獣バトルテーマごとに、バトルシステムが異なってるんですが、これをなかなか言葉で伝えるのは難しいので、ストーリーのスポイラーにならないギリギリでまた新しい動画ちょっと いくつか持ってきましたので、ご覧いただいた方が早いかなと思います。
Right, as the story progresses, Clive gets more used to his icon. The battles will get speedier and more complex and more challenging. And again, showing you too much of these may result in some major spoilers. But
exactly, yeah. I feel like each icon fight is going to be an epic set piece that'll feel very different from the other ones. And they're all going to be pretty damn indelible, right? You wouldn't want to show off too many of them. So I'm excited, man. It seems like this game really wants to go the direction of things are constantly going to be changing up as you play. You know, the enemies, the various abilities. You get the iconic stuff. And the fights against all the various icons. I think we saw a little bit of this, right? Yeah. Ifrit versus Typhon. So sick, man. I just really like the decisions they're making with this game. They all kind of like bode really well with me for what it's ultimately going to be. And they're right up my alley, right? This is all really, really rubbing my personal taste the right way. And like I said earlier, man, the big one for me is the fact that this game exudes confidence by the developers. Like confidence with the direction they want to take it. Confidence with the identity they want to have. The decisions they want to make that are very bold ones that really shy away from the traditional ones where you're used to seeing in Final Fantasy games, right? No more ATB stuff, no more turn-based stuff, no more weird hybrid of the two stuff. Right? Very clear-cut, clearly delineated, full throttle action real-time experience, right? It's fantastic. And I don't mind watching this again. I think we're kind of close to the end here, right? So yeah, I apologize. I hope that this... I don't think this is for nothing, right? I think because I realized that a big chunk of this 1 hour were the things we kind of already saw. Or I mean, not really, because we know how long that stuff was. It was 27 minutes, yeah. And the rest of it, like the other part of it, was another 30 minutes of stuff that we either didn't know about before, and now know, or stuff that we kind of knew, but they are, you know, reaffirming and continue to have me really excited. So yeah, this was definitely worth checking out, you know, the whole full hour, and there were some really cool little things sprinkled throughout here. Thanks for advising me to check this out, guys. I'm really glad I saw the whole thing.
The battles in Final Fantasy 16 can sometimes prove a little unorthodox, but they're very unique and they're very
exciting. Of course, yeah, that's the main thing.
To show you even more and have more to show you.
It's a Final Fantasy game with a very unique identity that we haven't really seen before, right? I think that's...
So now our final concern has to do with the game content.
Oh yeah, there's the last one.
Battles. We've seen the action, but what about the RPG?
Yeah, this is the main thing about this thing that makes it worth watching, right? Are the various questions, the burning questions and concerns they're addressing. Oh, okay. Yeah, that is true. We haven't seen a whole lot about the core RPG elements and stuff. I think it's coming in April.
But in the very, very near future,
I did not know about.
More information on the RPG elements.
But you know, despite that, everything we've seen so far still has me excited, right? Even if you didn't show me anything that has to do with the pure RPG elements of a Final Fantasy game that are going to be constituting this thing, I would still buy it. Like, fuck yeah, dude. Fucking let's go. It's my birthday week, right? The Final Fantasy game's coming out, one that I'm finally excited for.
Worldwide, June 22nd,
Hell yeah, let's go. On my PS5.
まあ今のところほぼほぼ予定通り発売しますので、ぜひ予約をしてお待ちください。
And we don't expect any delays.
No delay.
No delay. And so
knock on leather.
Already pre-ordered, please pre-order today.
Yes. Today and every day.
Oh shit! I didn't realize you can pre-order it already.
それではすみません、駆け足になりましたが、最後まで、このパネルありがとうございました。ライブストリームの皆さんもすみません、途中ラグあったそうなんですが、アーカイブしっかり、用意しますので、ぜひそちらも合わせてご覧ください。
Alright, thank you everyone for watching the entire show with us. For those watching the stream, we really, really apologize about the lag. Again, watch the archive. Thank you for everyone for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you guys. Thanks for being awesome. Thank you for making this game and for being kind of legendary and for being the dude, I've heard so many cool things about Yoshi-P. But okay, guys, that was the full hour-long Final Fantasy 16 presentation at PAX East. Even though it technically wasn't an hour's worth of us reacting to all this stuff here, right? Because 27 minutes of that we had already seen before. But like I said, nonetheless, there was still value that I got out of this. First of all, of course, we saw how awesome Yoshi-P is, right? We got to see more of that. And of course, the fact that we saw a bunch of the questions and concerns a lot of the fans were talking about, which are admittedly some that I didn't realize I also kind of had, that were being addressed in ways that had me even more confident that this game is going to be as good as I think it's going to be. And hey, judging by how epic Final Fantasy 16 is shaping up to be so far, every single time I see something I haven't before that's related to this game in terms of coverage, trailers, that sort of thing, I get way more excited. This game, like I said, is just hitting all of my notes personally. I love the whole high fantasy setting that they have going on here. It's been a minute since we've returned to that side of Final Fantasy. And then, you know, you've got like a really dark, gritty, personal story with so many characters who seem really compelling so far. Like, I haven't even played the game, but just based on what little we know so far of these characters and what we've seen, like the main protagonist, Clive, seems to be really compelling and someone who I just want to like learn more about and play as and experience the story of. People seem like they're going to be really resonant in this story. And I just can't wait to see where it all culminates, right? We have this incredible journey of Clive starting from young and going to old and experiencing all these things that are going to be happening around him in the world that will, like they said, and it's cool that Yoshi-P acknowledged this, right? I don't know, I was kind of predicting this would happen. But, you know, make him open his eyes and see the bigger picture beyond just revenge. And to me, that means seeing the larger threat that faces the world of Valisthea, right? And potentially the crystals that everyone relies on for life, essentially. Kind of like in Final Fantasy VII, right? The game starts off with Cloud and Co. trying to fight an evil corporation, but then they realize that there is a much bigger threat to the entirety of the planet beyond just this corporation that's slowly killing it, that lies before them. And then, of course, it's Sephiroth, and you have to go take him down. So I'm wondering what Clive's Sephiroth is, right? We know he lost his brother. We know something horrible happened to take him from him. But what is the greater threat that looms beyond that? What is the greater enemy that threatens humanity as a whole that Clive and his party will collectively need to take care of? I am so excited to see that, you guys. It's going to be awesome. Gameplay looks great. Everything looks amazing. Like I said, I want to know what you guys think. Let me know below. And once again, thank you for suggesting that I check this whole thing out with you guys here today. This was really fun. I'd been meaning to do it, and you guys wanting me to check it out made me all the more excited, and we finally made it happen. But anyways, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video and you're new here, please consider liking and subscribing. It greatly helps out. And do be sure to follow me over on twitch.tv/irritableidian. And stay tuned for many more Let's Plays, reviews, and reactions like these down the line. I can't wait to see what we get next of FF16. I know they said they're going to be covering the RPG elements in April, so we're definitely going to be checking out that stuff when it happens. But until the next video, you guys, stay happy, stay healthy, stay positive, and as always, keep on keeping on.